basically the major for people who like to do everything.
Yeah.
Kind of art. That's like what I prefer. I need to see.
Well, do you want to introduce yourself? I think you're in frame.
Okay, yeah, you're in frame.
Hi, I'm Jair,
whatever you want to call. Student and artist. I'm interviewing today. This is my question.
Feel free to shout yourself out. Any like YouTube channel or put your Instagram. I'll put it in my video.
Okay. JAIRNIREL is my Instagram, and it should be like every social media. I have a magazine. It's a link in my bio of my Instagram, so check that out.
I'll make sure to link it too.
Yep. I'm excited. Okay, wow. Let me see. I need to make sure that this, because I used to record on this thing called Riverside, but I don't know like how good it would be. I'm trying to see, do I prefer that or GarageBand? I think I'll do Riverside today. Alrighty. Before I start, I like to ask everybody like, how are they? Like, how are you doing? Just like mentally, physically, like.
I'm good. Like, I'm in a good spot. But you know, like how sometimes you're doing good, but you feel like, ooh, I'm kind of falling back into like some old tendencies.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel right now.
I understand. It's hard to stay on the right path all the time.
Absolutely.
Let me text.
But no, I've been good.
Texting my co-host. Just late to leave. Okay. Let's see. It's headphones. And go ahead.
So do you actually do a podcast, or you just have a podcast mic?
I actually do a podcast. I have it. I need to. The thing about me is like I don't talk about what I do enough. I kind of just like to do it and make sure that I'm doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
But the problem is I never post it after I continue to do it. So I'm gonna start posting it now. Like this will be like the official one. I'm gonna show you. This is like I plan out all my magazine like in my sketchbooks. Sketchbooks are like my Bibles, like the most important thing. So this is.
Props to you for planning all that stuff, because I'm so impulsive. I like to just move.
It's terrible. Like this is where I want yours to be. So my goal was to get like you have like a 2-page, and then like it'll be like I wanted a picture of you with your skateboard like this.
Yeah.
And like a clip from this interview, like a quote will be like written on top of the skateboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there'll be like a clip of like a picture of you like right next to it.
Okay.
And so that was my goal. Is like this is basically what it looks like. And I know it's like a rough sketch, but this is how I had to plan it out so that I can make each
So are
page.
each one of these separate pages?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to plan out each page. It's so like meticulous, and like my goal is to tell a story every time. And like the things that I go, it's like my album. As if I need to get on the podcast. Like here I go. Like this is the podcast.
Like we're starting already.
Like we look to start. Okay, wait. Let me make sure this is all good. Join studio. Testing. Oh, I need a big sign that's recording so that people know. My friend will probably walk in, but it's okay. Okay. That didn't close at all. Could you close that?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. And you might have to speak like directly into it. She's a little picky. This is
okay.
Welcome back, y'all. This is Nirel Radio. I'm your host, Jair Nirel, but if you know me, I go by Ja. Today I have a special guest, and he's going to introduce himself right now.
Hi, my name is Caleb Smith. I'm 20 years old, and I'm a professional skateboarder.
Amazing. Wow. And so we were talking already, but I like wanted to just start off by saying like who are you like as a person? Like what do you see yourself as?
I see myself as somebody with high ambition and just like a lot of drive and very, very like grandiose like visions for myself and what I want to do with my life. That's how I would describe myself.
I like that. That's good. Where are you from? Like, where are you based?
I mean, I'm in Texas now. I kind of just moved all over. It was kind of rough growing up, so like every year we would move somewhere else. So I was born in Virginia. We lived in Ohio for a little bit, and then we moved to Texas like 10 years ago, actually. Like, I think it was 10 years ago this year, so I pretty much just say I'm from Texas at this point.
Yeah, I like that. Texas is like probably the greatest place. In my opinion, in America, I love Texas.
Yeah.
I'm from Austin, so like I really feel it. What made you even want to come to UNT of all places? Like,
Not a lot of research. Like I was telling you, I'm pretty impulsive. So I actually went to a different college before this. It was called the Dallas Art Institute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What were you studying?
Huh?
What were you studying?
Graphic design. They didn't have like a fine arts program, so they were telling me like graphic design was the closest thing I would get to it. I think I did 2 semesters there, and I hated it. Just because I see myself as more of like a fine artist. I like to like work with my hands. I don't really like working with technology, and everything there was like on the computer and like Photoshop and Illustrator, and I was like, this is not
it's
what
hard.
I came here for. Like I'm like almost anti-tech. Like I really yeah, like I really just use it for like what I need. So like editing videos and like that's it.
So how does that like work with like all your skating and stuff that you post? Like, do you like hate when you have to like edit them?
I actually, it's weird. I actually have like kind of found a fondness for editing because it's sort of relaxing. Like I get to sit down, and more so like the way that I do my editing, it's me kind of studying my skating and where I'm going wrong with my tricks, or like, oh, like this, it would be cool to do this trick in this spot, and kind of just analyzing like how I can improve my skateboarding, which is really the main reason I started my channel. Was I wanted to show like a realistic representation, like what does it really mean to become a professional skateboarder? Like you see on Instagram and all these social media platforms, like you see the end result, but you'll never see people get there. So
that, oh my god, that is so important to me. Wow, good God, I cannot express. Like I was literally talking about this the other day, like how much people like promote their success, but nobody promotes their journey. And I think the journey is like the most important part. Like you have to go through everything in order to get there. But like at this age, like what does it take to be there? It would be nice. Like imagine somebody who has the same dreams as you, like 10 years into the future, but they're this age now. Like a 19-year-old, 10 years later, like they're seeing what you did, and like they get to emulate that. I think that's what's so important about that.
And I think it's hard because a lot of the times you'll hear like these successful people, and they'll tell you like, yeah, you're going to have times of hardship and it's going to be hard, like just keep going. But as much as they can tell you that, like none of that equates to actually embodying it. Like it's easy to watch a 30-second video on Instagram telling you, hey, you're doing a good job. Like I know it's hard, but just keep going. But when you're in that hard time, like none of that matters. You're not remembering that video, and it's like, damn, am I really...
Is this what I want?
Like, am I doing it, or am I like just...
Oh my gosh, I feel like I understand you like in such a way. Because I'll tell you, like, the reason why I wanted to interview you in the first place is because I remember I was sitting in my car, and like I was having low-key like a rough couple weeks, and it was like that period of it's that period of college that like where everything kind of gets hard, and like you feel like you don't know where you're going. I feel like you have to go through college to know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's like right around, because I'm a cheerleader too, so like homecoming week is especially hard for me because it's like midterms, homecoming, I'm like everywhere all at once. And I was seeing you skate, and like I used to see you skate last year, but I was seeing you skate and you were like doing the same thing over and over again. It looked like you were almost trying to perfect it. And I was like, that must take like so much mental strength and power, and like to watch. Like I was fascinated. I was like, oh, I have to know, like, why do you do it, and like what makes you continue?
I think it all stems from like just wanting a sense of control. Like obviously with skateboarding, like there's a sense of freedom, but there's also like there's something about knowing that I've fine-tuned my movements so much that I know exactly how a trick works, and that starting out of a trick where it's like, man, I really don't know what I'm doing, I'm kind of just throwing the trick and like just seeing what works. It's kind of frustrating, but at the like once you get towards like, oh, I'm landing it 30% of the time, like going from I don't even know how to land this to like 30% of the time, it's so like fulfilling to be like, oh, if I just pay attention to these steps, it'll help the end result. You know what I mean? So part of it is just really watching myself progress that kind of fulfills me to keep going.
So do you feel like, you know, I know you make art, and I don't know exactly what art you do. Is it mainly drawing?
It's a lot of drawing. This semester, it's been more sculptural that I think I've kind of gotten into. I was in a painting class. The semester's over, so I was in a painting class and a sculpture class this semester, but like my sculpture class is really where I felt like I was actually producing my best work, where I was expressing myself. So I've been contemplating switching over to a sculpture major.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that, and so basically I asked you that because I wanted to know like the creativity that you express through like sculpture and through drawing. Like, do you feel like you get to apply that to skateboarding as well? Like when you come up with a trick, or like are there set tricks that you have to like check off and accomplish?
It's more so kind of like set tricks that I have to accomplish, just because there's so many tricks, but there's really only like, I'm just going to throw a number out, but there's really only like 10 tricks, right? And then everything else is just combining tricks, combining different tricks on different obstacles that really makes like skateboarding what it is. Like you really only have like a base of like 10 tricks, and then you put these two together and that's a whole separate trick by itself. So it's really kind of like...
It's like sequencing?
Yes.
Interesting. Wow. What would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self? Oh, that's so hard to think about. Honestly, I would tell my younger self to probably pick up a skateboard sooner.
When did you pick up a skateboard?
I started in COVID, so I had a skateboard. Me and my brother would skateboard probably during middle school, but we never did any tricks. Like we would just use it to get out of the house, ride down the street, and then come back. But really during COVID, I like spent like my whole first paycheck on a skateboard and spent probably like 3 hours every morning that summer just like, okay, I'm gonna go learn how to ollie. And I did that for like 6 months until I finally got it.
That's crazy because I did the same thing but gave up. And I have my skateboard in my car, but I remember like, you know who Nigel Houston is?
Yes.
Of course you do. My dad showed me who he was, and like I was fascinated. Like I was like, wow, this takes so much work. And like it was almost the same way when I saw you skating. It was like that same feeling. And I was like, how can I do this to become better? The only trick I know is like I ride it and like I let it like I like kick the board and like run and jump on it. That's like the only thing I got.
Okay.
But I just think that's so cool. But do you think like how much do you practice?
A couple hours every day. Yeah, my friend was asking me last night if I'd take any days off, and part of me felt weird because I was like, no, of course I don't take any, like, of course I do it every day. And he was kind of just like, oh, really? Like, you don't get sore? And like, it kind of reassured me that I'm kind of doing the right thing because like...
Because it doesn't feel like work.
To a degree. Like, sometimes like when I'm really frustrated in working on a particular trick, it feels like work. Because you have to fight yourself, like, I know I'm frustrated, but I'm only going to fail this trick so many times before I am going to land it a majority of the time, you know what I mean? So it's more so fighting myself to like not give in to my frustration, which is really what I've been working on recently. I want to say like the past 2 weeks or so. I've been like, okay, I'm getting frustrated. Let me stop for a second and just like take a few moments, express some gratitude, like how lucky am I that I get to stress over a skateboard trick? Some people get to stress over like where they're going to live next month or like where their next meal is going to come from. So I'm really blessed that I get to just like struggle over or stress over, I should say, like, how does this trick work? You know what I mean?
That's actually a great perspective. I feel like a lot of people could like really use that. And I am so glad. I keep saying this, but I'm so glad that I talked to you because it's like you are hitting every point that I'm trying to express. Like my main point is like I'm trying to like talk about resolve. Like that's the theme of my next magazine issue. It's like the resolve that it takes, like shifting your perspective, like realizing like you get to complain about college classes, you get to complain about like having a big friend group and there's a little bit of drama. Like some people have no friends, some people aren't in college, some people don't even get to like walk around and just like listen to music and be in their own head. And I was wondering when did you realize like you could apply that thinking, like the thinking that it takes, like I'm only going to fail this amount of time to your life, like from skating to your life, like how does it bleed over?
It's really recent. I will say, like, I've been on my kind of self-improvement journey the last like 6 months or so is really when I started like, I'm going to take this seriously and I'm going to like work on myself, because at the end of the day, all of these failures, I try to view them not as failures, but just like opportunities to develop character, because at the end of the day, like, I could succeed tomorrow, but without the character to actually achieve those things, it's meaningless, and I'm gonna waste all of it. So like every time I'm struggling, I try to remind myself, and I actually just started telling myself this, like, God, thank you for like giving me the opportunity to develop character to become the person I know I want to be. You know what I mean?
And that was my next question. Do you believe in God? And like,
yeah, I do. I think I struggled with it for a long time. I grew up around the church scene, and I just don't think I agree with the way it's represented a lot of the time. The very like do this or go to hell. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay. I don't really agree with the like do this or go to hell, or like you need to pray in this specific manner at these times. I think like the structure of it kind of turns me off, because I feel like God knows exactly who you are.
Because He made you that way.
Yeah. So to like, I'm gonna speak differently so I can talk to God. I feel like it's disingenuous. Like if somebody like your best friend knows you and you talk to them different than the way that they know you to talk, they're gonna ask like, why are you speaking
come as you are?
It's like, yeah, it's like God knows exactly who you are. So when I'm praying, I'm like, hey God, I just want to say thank you for like giving me these challenges. Like if you could just help me do this and like maintain my level of dedication and my gratitude, and just let me not fall off of the things I know I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like that's a lot better than, dear Lord, thank you. Like it almost feels like I have to fake talking to God.
Yeah, that's actually 100% true. And I think like, especially as a college student, like it can get so confusing. Like you think you have to be like the greatest person ever, and that's just not real. Like we're human and changing every day, and your relationship is your relationship. Like it's like it's really a relationship, and I think that's so important. And I remember when I didn't have God and I was like experiencing college, and like now that I am, it's like, oh my gosh, what was I doing without it? And like the making sure it was my own rather than like what somebody told me it should be. That was like my biggest thing coming into Christ, I guess, because I got baptized this February.
Oh,
so
nice.
That changed my life. So my next question is, where do you see yourself in like 10 years, roughly?
In 10 years, what is this? I want to be in the Olympics. I think it's the 30-32 Olympics. I want to get a gold medal. Bring a gold medal back to the U.S.
That would be so cool. Do you know where it's going to be? Do they decide, or they decide 4 years in advance?
Yeah, I think they decide like the 4 years before. I think it'd be really nice if it was in America, because like how cool would it be to get a gold medal on your home turf for like for your country?
That would be so amazing. Like I really hope, I believe in you 100%, and I pray that God takes you exactly where you need to go. But how cool would it be to listen to this like 10 years into the future and be like, I said this.
Like I knew exactly where I was going, and I set this in place. Like I think God can only do so much for you before you have to pull your weight. Like God, I feel like God only sets things up for you, and it's up to you to like follow through with everything. So God like puts the opportunities for you, but you have the opportunity to like reject all of it.
That's an interesting perspective. So do you think that a lot of people like don't try hard enough to get to where they want to be?
I do, actually. I think because of the culture we were raised in, a lot of people get trapped in this mindset that I need money to be financially stable. And I was actually talking to our English teacher, had us do this exercise in class where we went around and we like talked to another student, and we had them like, we told them our dreams and what our dream was. And one guy just told me like, yeah, I just want to be financially stable, so I'm going to work a job I hate to make money. And I asked him like, why would you do that? And he was like, well, I just need the money. And I think a lot of us think that way. Like we need money to have our house, and we need money for our car bills and like gas, food, all of these things, which don't get me wrong, we absolutely do. But I think we place too much importance on it. For me, I've been telling myself like, I'm just going to do what I want. Like the money will come with it. Like money has never been my motivator. I'm not super materialistic. But I like to believe that like if you truly like pursue what you're passionate about, you can find a way to make money off of anything. It's all about like how much are you willing to sacrifice to do what you truly want to do. And to me, that like for skateboarding, I would like if I had to choose between school and skateboarding, I would give school up without a second thought. You know what I mean? Because to me, it's like the only way to actually experience life is to do what you want and like be free doing what you want. And for me, that's skateboarding. And like, imagine being 29 years old and you get to just travel to different countries and go explore the country by yourself and do tricks on it, and like, that's your livelihood. Like,
and I think that's so important, like recognizing that like you don't have to have everything in the world like to be where you want to be. Like, you can be that in that moment. Like, you are, like, a lot of people think they need to be established before they can pursue what they love, but if you establish yourself pursuing what you love, then you'll be exactly where you want to be. Oh, and sorry, I was looking at my phone because my co-host was texting me, but I think she's just she's not coming anymore. Okay. But it's okay. So let me read my next question. Oh, recently on your story, as I'm observant, and I saw that you really like J. Cole, and I was wondering what it is you like about J. Cole.
It's that idea that you can really just pursue anything you want and make what you want of yourself, like $1 and a dream. You know what I mean? Like, to me, J. Cole is always. I found J. Cole when I was in middle school, and I had like a lot of my hardest times from middle school through high school, and his music was like the stuff that kept me going. Like, I found, like, even though I didn't grow up in the same situations he did, I could relate to a lot of the things that he went through, and the perspective that he had was almost refreshing. I didn't have anybody, like any father figures or anything, to kind of like tell me like, hey, this is how you become a man. Like, these are the principles that you should stand on to like truly be somebody worth of value. And I find like a lot of J. Cole's songs, he talks about his struggles and like what he had to overcome to be a man. And I just really could relate to that. Like, he's one of my biggest inspirations.
I love that. That's actually is interesting. So do you think that, and like, not to get personal in your business, but
let's get personal.
Okay, so what in your childhood has shaped you to become this person that you are today? Like, what experiences were so significant that you feel comfortable sharing has allowed you to like have this resilience and like this observant quality?
I think it was childhood abuse. Sorry, I'm gonna.
No, you're okay.
I'm gonna laugh about it, but like,
okay.
I think, and I said this on my very first video for my channel. Like, transparency is everything.
100%.
Like, I think you should truly be honest about what you come from. Like, a lot of people struggle. Like, that's just a fact of the world. A lot of people struggle, and when you see somebody go from like struggling in their childhood to being a success, it really kind of reaffirms that, hey, there is, like, everything is possible to you. So for me, it was a lot of like, I didn't have a lot of self-worth when I was younger.
Agreed.
So a lot of it was like, I always felt like I couldn't actually amount to anything. Like, I never would be anything. I would just take a job I hated, and that would just be the end of it. I would make my money, I would pay my bills, and I would go back to work. But like, after I attempted suicide, it was really hard for me to like think like that. I couldn't like figure myself doing a job I hate every day and continue living. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, the only way I can see myself living is pursuing what I'm passionate about. And skateboarding is that. Like, it's the most freeing thing I can think of. I get to spend my time outside. I love nature, so I get to spend my time outside. I get to be active. Like, I can just enjoy myself, being in my body, things like that. And I mean, it's the only thing I can see myself doing for like the next 10, 30, 40 years and not get tired of.
Do you remember the first time you ever got, like, I know you told me when you started skateboarding, but do you remember like the first time you recognized like, this is it, like 100%, like, I'm not doing anything else?
I would say that had to be probably after my knee surgery.
Oh, whoa, knee surgery.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I tore my ACL and a couple other ligaments in my knee playing basketball. And I mean, it was what it was. I didn't get it checked for like 3 years, and I actually, like, by the time I had started skateboarding, I still had never got it checked. So I started skating on like a torn ACL and everything, and eventually it just caught up to me where I couldn't skate without like re-rupturing it every other session or so. So I went to the hospital, got it checked out, figured out that I had like a torn ACL and everything. And after coming back to it, like, that year that I had to take off away from it was like some of the hardest times for me. Like, I had to really come to terms with myself because I didn't have any escape. Like skateboarding was an escape for me. I did a lot of smoking when I was younger. That was also like just another escape mechanism for me. And I quit smoking that year. I don't really drink. I quit all of my bad habits that year. And I really just like, sober me, I had to come to terms with like sitting in my thoughts and like, how do I decipher my emotions and how do I work through this without like going crazy? And it took a long time, but coming back to skateboarding was like, man, this is like just such a sense of peace for me. Even as like at its most frustrating, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. So I was like, this is it. Like, I'm just gonna do this for the rest of my life.
That is so inspiring. Like, I wonder, like, do you have any suggestions for people who are looking for that in their lives, like what they can do?
I think you'll know it when you find it. I think the hardest part will be truly accepting it, because, like I said, we grow up in a culture where money is on such a pedestal. Like, money pretty much
they're idolizing that money.
Everything within our country. But I think a lot of the times when you find something you're passionate about, you'll pursue it without money. Like, I heard a quote somewhere, like, I think it was Pharrell Williams. If you wouldn't do it for free, what makes you think like doing it for money is going to make you
happy?
It's going to make you happy. He said something along the lines of that.
That's actually interesting. I wonder, like that's how I feel a lot about. Like, you'll see people have a talent now, and I think everyone will be like, oh, like, you need to start an Instagram for it. You have to start, it's like, dang, like, God forbid they just enjoy it. And, like, they just, like, everybody's always trying to hustle. Like, I think this generation is obsessed with hustle. And I love that that's what we want to be, but at the same time, like, I think everyone's trying to survive and not live. And, like, what you're telling me is just making me think, like, wow, like, what if we just genuinely did what we loved and then, like, let everything else just fall into place?
Right.
Because, wow.
Like, the way that I think about it is, like, I schedule everything else around my skateboarding. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, skateboarding comes first, and then I'll go to work, and then I'll go to my classes. But, like, if I'm not at work or if I'm not in class, like, I'm on my skateboard or I'm editing videos for my channel, because, like, skateboarding is so integral to me that, like, everything I do revolves around it. And there was another quote that I heard that, like, when fishermen can't go fish, they repair nets. So it's pretty much that idea, like even when you can't do the thing you love, you find something adjacent to it to work on.
Wow.
So, like, you're always just involved in it, because there's so many aspects to the thing you love. It's never just one thing. Like, if you like making magazines, it's not just putting it all into the paper. Like, you got to go find people to interview, or you got to get images, or you got to think of your next idea. And all of that is going to bring you, like, peace into that thing you love doing.
Wow, and that's so true. Like, and I love talking to people because it helps me think about, like, life from a different perspective, and I think perspective is everything. And, like, for example, my magazine, like, I love, like, art. Like, last year when my major was different, being in the wrong major can mess up your life. Oh my God, you can be miserable. And when I was in the wrong major, I was, like, around just fashion people, I lost my mind. Like, you know, I used to have hair, and I'm gonna ask you why you cut your hair next, because I cut my hair off, and like for a whole list of reasons. I've talked about it so many times. I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing it, but like, I was around a whole lot of people who like to compete, and they like to like become these like fashion evil demon people. Like, I cannot explain to you what fashion does to people. Like, but I'm sure that's in every industry. But like, being so like small-minded, and like the very person that you're asking for help is all because you could only 60, you know how CVAD worked, only 60 people could make it in, and I felt like I was competing every day, and that just like takes away the joy. Like, I used to do this in my room, like, and like sew and make bags with my grandma. Like, I've loved this since like for so long, but I'd like to do everything. So coming back to like the magazine is like such a fun way for me to like express every outlet and tell a story, and I like helping other people tell their stories, because like this will be like a physical and digital record of like your mind and my mind at this time. So then when we look back and we get to where we want to be, like, we can be like, oh, do you remember way back in the day?
Like, we were in
Exactly. Like, and then maybe like, you know, maybe one day this studio will be bigger and I'll own like my company somewhere and like I'll be in Europe. Fingers crossed. Like,
I think people don't understand that idea of humble beginnings. Like, you really have to just start with what you have.
Absolutely.
Like, if it's interviewing somebody in your room, like, then that's where you start.
Yeah.
Because there's really like, there's another quote. Like, I'm obsessed.
No,
with
I love a good quote. I love knowledge. So keep going.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to do it is now. So we can look back in 20 years and say, dang, the second best time to plant it was then. And like 20 years later, like, dang, the best time was 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, in 20 years, I can do so many things. And I can look back and like, this is where it started. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. Oh my gosh. And recognizing also, like, there's a rush. Because, like, when it's your like, I feel like a lot of people, like, are doing everything to blow up. But, like, why do you want to blow up? Like, what would... And I'm asking you, too. Like, would you rather, like, have, like, a rise, a slow rise? Or would you just... One day you wake up and boom, like, you're, like, where you want to be? Is that what you want?
No, I think that's another thing with our culture. Like, especially with... I want to say TikTok. I'm going to quote... Like, I
agree.
At TikTok on this specifically. Because how many times have we seen people, like... blow off of one video and then they get views for like a month or so and then you never see them again. It really does something to your ego when you blow up like that because now all of a sudden you're in a different league and you're about to go right back. Like, you're only gonna be here for like a
have 30 minutes.
And I think like your ascent matches your descent. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you blow up like that, you're gonna fall off just like that.
Interesting.
And I think it's really hard because we see all these people that blow up like that, and we want to like, well, when is it gonna be my turn to be like in the public view and have all these people who respect me and I inspire them. And I think it's what I've been struggling with lately because I just started my channel. I've almost got 50 subscribers. Like, that's
a good amount.
So cool. You know
when did you start?
Like early November.
Wow,
like
that's crazy.
Early
50
mid-November.
is good.
Yeah. But like sometimes I'm looking, I'm like, oh, this video didn't do as well as the last one. Like, what happened? And it's like, so it's not gonna happen so fast. Like, I always have to remind myself because I'm so impulsive and I'm so impatient. I have to remind myself like, it's gonna take time. I want to build something that's long lasting, and you're not gonna get that with something you set up so fast.
You're not.
And another thing is like when you build your audience, it's solid. Like, it's not just people that popped in and said, oh, this is cool, and then never looked again. Like, these are people that you're going to inspire them, and they're going to keep coming back, and they're going to, like, comment on your videos. Like, I just love that so much. Like, anytime I get a comment on my YouTube video, I go crazy. I'm like, yes, finally.
Because I imagine, like, a 10-year-old, like, one day seeing you, like... Oh my gosh, especially as a person of color, like, do you know how important it is that we, like, exist and show others? Like, I feel like as, like, because I'm gay, like, and I'm a gay man, so, like, not seeing that many gay men be successful off of, like, creative arts and, like, having to wait to be themselves and not starting off being themselves because they were scared of the industry. Like, I used to look up to, like, Beyonce and my mom. Like, love my mom. I will always talk about my mom. I love my mom so much. But having to look up to, like, people like Beyonce to, like, see success and work ethic as a person of color, like, I think it's so important for us to be in certain spaces and, like, becoming something and, like, sharing that with others. You're person of color, right?
I am.
Okay, I was making sure.
I don't know. I have a weird relationship with that because I grew up in like a small town in Texas, very like hick-ish. So I really struggled with my identity as like a person of color because like sometimes I'm just like, damn, like I didn't grow up around the culture. Sometimes I feel like my hair is the only identifier that people have to know that I'm a person of color. And so sometimes it's hard because I feel like so disconnected from my culture. Like, I didn't grow up with my dad. Like, I spent maybe 2 summers at my grandma, his mom's house, around my cousins, so I don't even really know them. I don't know, like, the whole family reunion kind of, like, I feel like I missed out on all of that because my dad wasn't in my life. So that's one of the things I'm like, I don't know where I fit in. Like, it was the classic, like, too black for the white people and too white for the black people. It's like,
that's how it was for me because I liked art. So.
Yeah, it's like, at the end of the day, I have to kind of just say, fuck it. Like, I love to say, like, I'm not white, I'm not black, I'm me. Like, I don't want to be, like, identified, like, oh, you're a black person. no, like I am who I am. Exactly. Like regardless of my skin color or my attributes, like it doesn't affect what I want to do with my life. You know what I mean?
And I understand that is actually respectable, and I feel like identity is important, but you're mixed, right? Is that what you?
Yeah.
I get, quote unquote, not to put a label, but like that's an identity within itself. So I feel like not to label you and put that label on you, but I think like that is like your own experience. And like I think another thing about our culture like is like people like we can recognize or need to start recognizing that we're not all the same and we don't have to be, and like we're all so different and unique, so there's like not one right way to be this or that. It's one right way to be yourself, right, and just go about that. And I think that's what people need to know. Now back to the point though, like why'd you cut that hair?
I want you to answer after I do. Like I'm gonna answer, but I actually want to hear yours as well. Okay. But I subscribe to that idea that like your hair is like a spiritual representation of yourself. Like it very much like that. Your body holds the memory kind of feel to it. So I was like, every time my hair grows out, I always get known as like I'm the guy with the curly hair.
Oh my god, yes.
And like at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, like I love my hair. Don't get me wrong, like I love when my hair is long, but I don't want to be the guy with the curly hair. Like it's almost irritating, and it almost, I think it like at some points it did make me resent it. Like it did make me resent my hair. So like every once in a while, like. And it was so funny because I'll just cut it, like not tell anybody, I'll just cut it and then I'll just show up. So I cut it early this semester, like I think like second week of school, and I went home and my mom, like I didn't tell my mom, and she was like, what did you do to your hair? I'm like, I cut it. And I just went to my room and I was like, no big deal. But it really was like, man, I'm tired of everybody trying to tell me like, this is my identifier. Like I'm more than the guy with the curly hair. Like I have my own personality beyond my hair.
I feel the exact same. So it was the same for me. I had locks. So, and I don't know if you've seen TikToks. Like, I feel like being somebody with locks, you become classified as a dreadhead. And like, there's all these like tropes and things on the line about how dreadheads are. And it's like, nice. Okay. It started to become Jair with the locks, the job with the locks. Like, I started to become somebody with locks. Like, I feel like my hair was attached to that, and like that was one of my reasons, like looking back. And then I'll never forget this. My mom told me, she was like, I feel like you're hiding behind your hair. She told me I was hiding behind it. Like, and I used to not have long hair. Like all my life I've changed my hair. Like my hair was never important to me. But when COVID came around and had a really negative experience in the relationship, I decided to like grow my hair out. And I don't know why that's what I decided to do. Like, but get my power back. Grow your hair out. Okay. So I think part of it was like I wanted to become somebody that person would like. But that was subconscious because it was like sophomore to junior year. And so then like my hair became like kind of my sense of pride. And I don't know if you've heard the Bible story of, I think, is it Solomon? And like, and I can get into that after this, but I was starting to attach like myself to my hair, and like I thought I was like the finest thing walking with this hair. Like it meant so much to me. And like I look back on my phone, like I was taking so many pictures of myself, and I feel like it was becoming like self-obsession. I was like idolizing my hair. And like when everything, because freshman year was really bad for me, because there's like 3 reasons, but like freshman year ended up really bad for me. And so I feel like I lost myself, and in order to come back to who I really was and like be humble again, I was like, let me cut my hair. So I got scissors and cut my hair myself, and then I got clippers and shaved my head bald. Like I was crashing out. That was my crash out. My one and only time I've ever crashed out. And then I just like, then I went on the whole thing, and then I got blonde. I dyed my hair blonde, and then the same thing. Oh, you were with the blonde hair. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm not my hair. I'm just who I am.
Right.
I feel like appearance should be the least interesting thing about you. It should be who you are. But
and I think also there's something to be said. Like another reason that I cut my hair is like it's an accurate representation of time. You know what I mean? Like everybody's hair grows at different rates and everything, but like when I started, like my hair was buzz cut, like straight, like less than an inch of hair on my head. Like I looked bald, and like when I look at myself now, I'm like, damn, it's been like 3 months. How much have I changed in the last 3 months? And then once it's fully grown and it's been 3 years, like I like to remind myself, like, who can I be in 3 years? What kind of person, what kind of routine can I have? Like, what kind of accomplishments can I have in 3 years? Like, so for me, like, it's almost like a reminder to, like, slow down and be like, okay, it's only been, like, a couple months. Like, give yourself a break. You don't have to be a pro skater in 3 months and, like, check in every month and, like, oh, still not a pro skater. Like, slow down and, like, enjoy it a little bit.
So what makes you, like, officially a pro skater? Like, when you enter, like, a league or something? Or
So, like, industry terms, becoming a pro skater is, like, you have your own board. Like, your own graphic and your name, like, attached to that board.
Are you going to design your own board?
Yeah.
That is
I will.
Do you have designs in, like, a sketchbook somewhere?
I don't. I need to.
I would love to see what you come up with. That would be so cool.
But it's, like, just getting signed to, like, you've already got to have sponsors. So, like, a shoe sponsor, board sponsor, whatever. And, like, you'll have your board sponsor, and that's pretty much them just sending you boards. But once you're a pro, you have your name attached to a board, and people buy your board. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's going to be amazing.
But personally, I like to say that I'm a pro skater because, one, I believe that you should already feel that way before it happens.
100%.
Like, the title is just an external thing. Like, you have to believe it before it happens. And also, I don't like this idea of that, like, doing something for a living means that you're getting paid for it. I think, like, personally, like, for me, doing something for a living means, like, if I didn't do it, I would die. So, like, I skateboard for a living. If I was not skateboarding, I would not be here. Like, absolutely, like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, it's my livelihood for sure.
Yeah, I just don't even know if you understand, like, how inspiring you are. Like, wow, I feel like I'm talking to somebody who I know is going to be somewhere. Like,
thank you.
I can tell that, like, you have so much life ahead of you, and I wish you so much success.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh. So, my next question is, like, showing up. How much courage it takes to, like, skate on campus, like, in front of people. Like, because low-key, like, when you skate, people are watching. I don't know if you're aware, but, like, and I remember the first time I saw you skate, like, I think it's when you had the hair, like, way back in my freshman year. It's, like, right outside the union on the staircases.
Like January, probably? Like early this year?
Yeah. So, like, what is that like?
It's tough. It's tough because you almost get this idea that, like, because people are just walking by, that their first perception of you is if you land that trick or not. So if they watch you land that trick, they believe that you're a good skateboarder and all of these things. Like, damn, he's so good. But, like, if they watch you eat it, it's kind of just like, damn, he sucks at skateboarding. So I've had to battle with that, being like, okay, just because I've, like, and it can be embarrassing, especially in front of, like, girls. Like, like, that group of girls definitely just watched me eat it, but you know what? We're gonna get back up.
Just get back up.
We're gonna play it off like it didn't hurt.
Jeez, wow, that's.
But I think it's more so like it's a projection thing. Like, I project other people's ideas onto me. Like, I'll ascribe how somebody feels about me to them. Like, I don't even have to ask them. I'm usually just like, oh damn, I just fell like 3 times in a row. They probably think I suck. But, like, at the end of the day, who cares? Like, they're only gonna remember that maybe the rest of the day, if you know what I mean. And then, like, they've got other things going on. So for me, it's been a lot of like, dude, it doesn't matter if somebody watches you fall. Like, be present in what you're doing. At the end of the day, like, just keep going at it, and eventually you'll be where you want to be.
And like, back to, like, showing up. Like, how do you? And I know you said you schedule everything around skateboarding, but, like, how do you actually, like, manage your time effectively?
It's a lot of just, it's difficult because sometimes I kind of get caught up in this idea of just working one trick over and over and over again until I land it, but that can kind of be, like, it can drive you crazy because you get so caught up in it that you'll forget you have other tricks. So for me, what I've found is to practice multiple things at once. Like, I'll practice my manuals, and then I'll, like, do that for 5-10 minutes, or I'll go, like, do something on a bank, just so I'm, like, making sure I'm hitting all of my skills evenly. Because when you really just focus on one thing for too long, it's just a detriment. Like, it's not helpful.
That's understandable. And I think, low-key, wow, we had a great chat. Like, I'm going to start off asking you the exact same questions I asked you at the beginning, kind of just to, like, see, like, how you feel now, and then I'm going to ask you to say something to your future self, and then something to somebody who's listening. Okay, so, who are you again?
I am Caleb Smith, professional skateboarder.
All right. Where are you from?
I'm from Texas.
Good. All right. So what would you say to yourself in 10 years listening? 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years. Okay.
In 2 years, I think they're all going to be the same thing. Like, thank you for continuing. Like, this has happened a few times, but going to the park, so sometimes I won't drive. I'll just skate to the park because I live like 30 minutes from it if I ride my board. And if I'm like really having a rough time, I'll skate to the park, have my session or whatever, and then I'll walk back, which is like an hour walk. Whew. I'll cut the music, I will like walk home, and I'm literally like, okay, we're just gonna sort out whatever is going on in our head right now. And I've had situations where I've cried, like while I'm just walking like on the side of the road, because I'm like, man, I really want this. Like, I'm not going to let myself quit. Like, I'm going to hold you accountable, and you are going to make it, because I'm not going to let you. Like, I'm not going to let you sabotage this. You're going to make it. And it's just because, like, I know I can, so why wouldn't I?
Wow. Like,
so, to older me, thank you for continuing, and thank you for loving yourself. Like, loving me, you know what I mean?
Do you have anything else to say? I lied. Y'all, my bad. I wanted to ask you this last question. Do you want people to know anything else about you besides skating? Like, would you want anybody else, you, your future self, somebody who's listening, what do you want people to know about you that doesn't have to do with skating? And you can say nothing.
You can have a late start at anything. I didn't start skating until I was 16, 17, and like most people who ever go pro start by the time they're like 8 or 9, 7.
Sure.
So despite, like, you might think it's too late for you to catch on, but it's really about, like, how passionate are you about something and how willing you are to achieve it. You know what I mean? So continue regardless, and the worst thing that can happen is you don't get it and you enjoyed your time of trying to achieve it, you know?
Wow. That was beautiful. I am so glad that you came and talked to me today, and I'm
fun.
so thankful for your time. And I would love to come back and do like a recheck of like 3 months, and we'll just keep it going. Alrighty, that's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Nirel Radio. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay fresh, stay fly, and stay blessed. All right, y'all. Goodbye.